Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So my name's Katie and today I'm going to be doing my December wrap up slash latest recent reads. It's not exactly a December wrap up because it's kind of the second half of December because I already wrapped up some of the books I read in December in my latest recent reads, so it's all a bit chaotic. I've got a bit out of the habit of doing like monthly wrap ups. I tend to just wrap up when I've got like a few books to talk about, I don't know. Anyway, without further ado, here's some books I've read recently. So the first book is The Kaju Preservation Society by John Scalzi, and this was an ARC, so I'm not sure it's out yet. I think it might come out in March of 2022. And I gave it 4.25 stars, which I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. I wouldn't say it was the most like profound story ever. It was more like entertaining and like fun to read. But I think he said in his author's note that was kind of what he wanted to write, just something like light and fun. And it is quite heartwarming as well. So it's basically this character who like loses his job at the start of the COVID pandemic in New York, but then he meets this like old acquaintance who recruits him to this mysterious like almost secret society thing to go on a job. And then the job turns out to be going to this like other parallel world where it's like this other planet, and well, it's Earth but like in a parallel world, and it's like this like really jungly world, and there's these creatures called the kaju, and they're like giant stone dragon things essentially. And this society is like the Preservation Society, so they're trying to like research and like conservation for the kaju and this whole other world. Can't remember exactly what the world's called, but anyway, so it's kind of like him and his adventure in this other world. But it's really good. Like the friendships are really fun, like that he meets the other characters who are also like newbies to this kind of society. I love seeing the kaju. They're like and like actually there's some quite good things like learning about their kind of ecology and like behavior. And their like biology as well. Like there's this funny scene where they're trying to convince these two kaju to mate, and they're spraying like artificial pheromones on them via a helicopter, and then the helicopter's like being chased by this kaju thinking it's the female one. It's so funny. But there's just so many like kind of entertaining moments and like heartwarming moments, and it's like it's not deeply profound and there's no like super deep themes, but it's just really like fun, and actually there is some sort of like thing with like the kind of human greed and human kind of corruption of natural resources, so that's quite interesting actually. But just the main thing, it's just a lot of fun. I feel like it's like watching almost like a Marvel film or something. So yeah, we would definitely recommend that one. And the main character, I can't remember his name, he's like very typical like quarter life crisis millennial, which is very relatable. Yeah. Okay, then after that we have Royal Assassin by Robin Hobb, which I love this one. I gave it 4.5, rounded up to 5 stars. So it wasn't quite a 5-star, but I don't know if I'm just being harsh because like I know some of Robin Hobb's other books. But I did really enjoy it. I love seeing Fitz. I do think Fitz suits slightly more being like older character, but he did, like, I did really love him in this one, but he just goes through so much, bless him. At the start of the book he's a little bit like himbo energy, Fitz, and doing some kind of silly things and maybe not treating the characters around him as he should treat them, but actually he has been through quite a lot already in his short life. And yeah, I surprisingly I thought I would hate them, but I actually quite liked Fitz and Molly in this book. I thought they were kind of sweet, and they're just like teenagers, and it's just like that kind of first romance, and I don't know. And the ending was like so dramatic. I was so scared for Fitz, which like it was really kind of not surprising exactly, but I think it shows Robin Hobb's talent as a writer, because I knew what happened, like because obviously I'd read the later books and stuff and they've talked about what happened and things, but I was still like so scared and like so like on the edge of my seat and like really worried. And you just feel so much for Fitz. Like Robin Hobb has such a way of like making you feel for characters. And I love meeting baby Night Eyes as well, and like seeing him grow and like seeing him bond with Fitz, and I just love that. I love learning more about the kind of forged ones and things, because I feel like they're kind of alluded to in later books but you never really told what they were, but we kind of learned that in this book, which I really liked. I love seeing like Katrican, Verity, who just like halfway through this book is just like peace out, the kingdom's in chaos, I'm gonna go. Yeah, I love the like battle. I love Patience and her like kind of bond with Fitz. I really love. Also Patience and Lacey. There's definitely something going on there. I mean, I knew there was from other books, but you can't convince me otherwise. I also really would like a like chivalry Patience Burrich prequel. I think that would be really entertaining. But yeah, no, I really like this one, and I love like seeing a bit more of the Fool. I feel like he's not in this series that much, to be honest, except from the ending of Assassin's Quest, but I like seeing the little bits of him we get. So yeah, so that's that one. Loved it, obviously. Then I read The Stars of Legion by Cameron Hurley, which I gave 3 stars. This book was completely like insane. Well, first, like on reading the first chapter, I was like, this is I don't think I'm gonna like this, because like the last line of the first chapter is something like really incestuous or like implied, but I think it's not actually any incest in the book, so that was good. But it's just completely like crazy. But it was actually really weirdly like entertaining and addictive to read. Just like there's this hot kind of trash fire going down, but actually the writing is really good. Like it's not a badly written book, but just the characters and the plot and stuff just I can't even describe it, but it's like you can't look away from it. It's basically there's these 2 sort of main characters. Are there 2 main? Yeah. So well, there's 3 mains, but 2 sort of mains. One of whom is like being sort of, I don't know if resurrected is quite the right word, but she's like being brought back into this body and having her memories erased. And then the other one is the kind of one sort of doing the erasing, and then there's some sort of relationship between the 2. But then the other one, she goes and like is married off slash has agreed to this political marriage to this other like powerful woman, but then there's various like planet destroying entities. It's just crazy. I'm not sure I can describe it, to be honest. I can't. It was like a fever dream. I don't know, would I recommend it? I feel like I would. It's not my favourite book ever, but it was like if you need something like really entertaining and just kind of I don't know, just a bit crazy, I would recommend it. But yeah. Okay, then I read Tiamat's Wrath, which is book 8 of The Expanse. I think it's book 8. Yes. I gave this one 4.25 stars. This one was really good. It was completely like well, I don't know if brutal's the right word. It was like a massacre for main characters. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff happening, very dramatic. I really liked Teresa. Who's kind of, I don't know if she's exactly a new character, but I feel like she's a new sort of mainish character. I really liked her and her sort of story. We don't get loads of Holden in this book, but the bits we do get I loved. And there's this character called Timothy, and when I worked out who he was, I was like, oh, is that, I can't remember if that's book 7 or book 8. I feel like I read them quite close together, so they're all getting a bit blurred. I feel like there was some really good sort of dramatic ending that was, yeah, I liked all the sort of, it's not exactly a rebellion, like underground stuff I thought was interesting. I've actually really liked this sort of final like trilogy in The Expanse, because it's kind of 3 trilogies. I think there's some really interesting stuff. I don't know why they're like poking a sleeping bear, which is essentially what they're doing. I'm also reading Leviathan Falls. I think that'll probably be in the next wrap up, because I'm probably going to finish that today, but I haven't finished it yet, so I can't talk about it. But yeah, I think it's really good. I like all the characters. I liked how in this book, like almost all of the POVs are women, which I really liked. I like seeing Elvie again and her sort of story, like with poking the sleeping bear. And just the sort of more, I almost feel like they've forgotten about the proto-molecule. I don't know, it's almost changed into this like builder alien threat thing, which I think is quite cool. So yeah, it was a really enjoyable installment. Okay, then next we have Assassin's Quest. We'll get it out. By Robin Hobb again. So this one, it was chunky. It took me a while to get through, but actually no, I read it quite fast. I feel like it was because it was the holidays. It's like over 800 pages, which it doesn't look, it kind of looks big, but I feel like it's not as big as some, Is it? I don't know. Anyway, I really like this one as well. I gave it 4.5, rounded up to 5. I feel like this book was a bit of book of two halves. Like the first half I kind of liked, but was a lot of just Fitz kind of travelling about getting to where he needed to be, and sort of dealing with his emotional burdens. But I did actually really like the very beginning. I thought it was so funny. And then the second half of the book I thought really picked up, and well, I think it's because my favourite characters came back into the story, essentially, like the Fool and Kittricken especially. I really love getting to know some of the like more stuff about the magic and the sort of skill and the skill stones and things, and the kind of carvings. And I think I said this in my ranking video, but I don't know if I would, I think I might have got a bit frustrated with it if I didn't like kind of already know some of the stuff that was going on, just because like, I don't know, just the way it was written, like it felt like, I don't know if it was because I knew that I would have thought I would be annoyed if I didn't know, if you didn't know, you sort of didn't know what you're missing, but I don't know how to explain it. But yeah, no, I really liked it. I liked seeing all the sort of like the stone garden and all that stuff. I like the kind of Fitz and the Fool moments we get in the second half. There's some really cute ones. Although I feel like they're not as, like in this trilogy, they don't have as many like moments as I thought they would. Like they definitely, I way prefer them in the later books. But just I feel like Fitz's story is just so like when I finished this, I feel like it was really emotional actually, because it wasn't just finishing the Farseer trilogy. For me, it was finishing the whole Realm of the Elderlings. And actually saying that, given the last line in Assassin's Crest, I feel like it was really like having read the whole series and like this was my last book, and it was a really like emotional ending. I feel like I already knew where all the characters ended up, so I can't really say I like loved where the characters ended up, but I feel like it was very sort of, I feel like if you'd been reading this one without having read the rest of the series, it's very sort of heart-wrenching, but also makes you want to read more. And yeah, so I just loved it. And I also really loved, there's a character called Kettle who we sort of meet in this book, and I haven't really seen much of her before, but I really liked her. The other characters, I love the little snippets we get of Patience. We don't see much of her in this book, but I love the bits we do get. And obviously Kittricken just so that's that one. And then we have Eve Evergreen, the Semi-Magical Witch. So this is cover so cute, and I love this one. It was so cute. I think I gave it 4.5, like rounded up to 5 stars again. It was this story, we're following Eva, who is this witch, but she's only like semi-magical, so she doesn't have loads of powers, and she's kind of looked down on because of that. And whenever she tries to use her magic, she's like falls asleep, but she does have a little bit of magic. So she's going on this like quest thing to become a novice witch, which like every witch goes on when they're young, to like they go from being an apprentice to a novice. So she has to go to like her own little town, well, find a town that needs like magical help, and then in that town she has to try and help them, and get her things signed off, which brings back trauma of medical school, getting stuff signed off all the time. But we're just basically following Eva on her little journey. It's really wholesome, reminds me a lot of Kiki's Delivery Service, but I feel like it does stand on its own as well. I love Eva, she's such a cute character. I love the like friends that she meets, and she has this little like flame fox thing who's like this really cute little buddy. What's he called? Oh, Ember. And she sets up this like magical repair shop because she's like good at repairs. So she's kind of using her magic and her like cleverness, which I really liked. I like seeing how it's not just, you're not just using your magic, you're using your sort of brains as well. And there was the thing on there, I just feel like it had a really nice story of like coming into yourself and like believing in yourself. Like know that your pinch of magic is more than enough. That's the thing, just like you are enough. And I just love that whole theme. It's just so cute. And Eva's like this town where she's residing, there's this like big storm thing that ravages the world every year. and she has to try and save the town from that, and I just love the whole story. It was so cute. I can't wait to read the sequel, but I'm probably going to read it in January. But yeah, I really loved it. I would highly recommend. Yeah. Okay, and then I read Redemption, which is the final book in the Rosewater trilogy by Tay Thompson. It's actually called the Wormwood trilogy. And this is a bit of a crazy series. I'm not sure I can describe it that well, to be honest. But I like the conclusion. I feel like this one might possibly be my favourite. I don't know, it's really hard to say. I did like book 2 though. But this one, essentially, like, things are being wrapped up. There's like this, the aliens are sort of, there's this like alien dome thing, and there's a bit, so the city in the dome has like declared its independence from the rest of Nigeria, but then also within the dome there's a bit of a kind of cold war going on between the aliens and the humans, and so things are just sort of escalating in this book. The humans are they're realising kind of what a threat the aliens are and trying to save themselves. It's just, I don't even know how to like describe it. I feel like the writing's very compelling to read, and the characters are sort of interesting. And I actually liked one of the character who's kind of telling the story in this book, I thought was interesting. And the whole sort of, there's this thing called the Xenosphere, which is like a sort of like realm of dream magic almost, which I think was really cool. And I don't know, I just think it has some really interesting sort of elements, and it's like a bit of a thrillery sort of sci-fi. There's like a lot of things which is like compelling, satisfying, addictive. So I feel like they're mesmerizing. I feel like they're all good descriptive terms. And I feel like all the books in the series I've given 4 stars. So it's definitely like a 4-star series. But yeah, I'm sure there's some like deep themes you could get into, but I feel like I just read it for the entertainment value. I don't know, it's a really hard series to describe my thoughts on, actually, but I would recommend it, but it's like, I don't know if I would recommend it to everyone. It's definitely a bit like out there. But yeah, I do really love the covers though, they're very pretty. So that's that one. And then I read what is probably a new favourite series, and I'm now like obsessed with it, and that is Look in the Shadows. Well, I'd talk about Look in the Shadows first of all. So I read both Look in the Shadows and Stalking Darkness. So Stalking Darkness is book 2, and then Look in the Shadows is book 1. And these are really cute little mass market paperbacks. I don't know if you can see them. So this is a fantasy series which was written in the 90s, and I wanted to read it because it's like seen as like one of the first kind of queer fantasies. But I was expecting to enjoy it, but I just got so attached to the characters and like the whole cast of characters. I just love it, and it's really like, I don't know, it's sort of a cross between, I would say, Robin Hobb and Michael J. Sullivan's series. Like, it's definitely lighter and funner in tone than Robin Hobb's books, but just some of the kind of prose and like descriptions I would say are quite similar. And then the sort of like characters, like, yeah, those kind of thievy like characters, I don't know, it's just a lot of fun. So we're basically following Alec, who at the start of the book, he's in this like prison because was accidentally like, I don't think it's accidentally, he's like mistakenly been thought of as a spy, so he's been like tricked in prison. And then he's rescued from prison by this other person who's in prison called Sergil, and Sergil kind of takes Alec under his wing as his like apprentice sort of spy, actual spy, and like thief. I didn't really know what they are. They're called like watchers for the Queen, and they're essentially like the kind of underhanded, like, yeah, they do things, they like pull off jobs and stuff. So that's kind of what the story's about. And then there's this kind of plot going on in the kingdom of like, there's this faction who don't like that the royal family have some sort of fey blood in their line, and that they're trying to like get back to pure blood anyway. So there's this big like conspiracy plot going on, which Alec and Sergil kind of end up in the middle of. But I thought it was really good. I loved it. It's kind of like I said, the tone is just really enjoyable. Like, it's a fun romp, but also there's some quite deep like kind of messages, and it does get dark in places, but I feel like it's just the perfect kind of tone for me. Yeah, I just had a really fun time reading this one. I gave this one 4.5 stars, and then the sequel, Stalking Darkness, I gave 5 stars because I love this one. I feel like the plot just escalates really well, gets a bit more kind of magical, there's more magical threat, there's this like prophecy thing, I love the sort of kind of, there's not a lot of like battle bits, but the ones that are I thought really good. I thought there's the kind of perfect balance. And I love kind of the progression of Alec and Sergal's relationship in this one. Alex has really like beautiful kind of discovering his like bisexuality. I just love that kind of storyline, and then it's a really sweet like relationship and romance, and I don't know, I just love kind of how much they care for each other. And yeah, I just really enjoyed it. Would highly recommend this series. And what can I say about this one? Yeah, I think I already said most of it. And actually all the side characters as well I really like Alec. I love, he's just this really cute little cinnamon roll who's like being corrupted, and then Sergal's like that very kind of charming character. He reminds me a lot of like Vargo from Mask and Mirrors. Yeah, so I love both of them. And then the other characters is like Lysander, who's this like a wizard, like an older wizard who was like Sergal's mentor, and he's really nice. I like kind of that like grandpa-y wizard character. And there's this character called Thero, who is another wizard who I actually, in book 1 I was like, meh, he's there, but then in book 2, and I'm about a third of the way into book 3, and I really love him now. He's maybe becoming one of my favourites. And then there's this other character called Mickham, who's like this swordsman who like is almost like Sergal's kind of bodyguard thing, who's really funny. He's like a dad, I don't know. And then his daughter Becca, who I really love, she's on the cover of Traitor's Moon, and she's like wanting to be a soldier, and I don't know, I just really like it. It is written in the 90s, so there are some maybe slightly, I wouldn't say it was exactly problematic, but there's maybe some things that you wouldn't necessarily see in books written nowadays. But I do think it's really good and really ahead of its time, I would say, definitely. And I like this kind of a queer norm world as well, like yeah, and I don't know, it's just really, I feel like it's going to become my new like comfort series. I just love it. So yeah, I would highly recommend. Yeah, and I'm on book 3 now, which I'll talk about probably in my next wrap up, whenever that is. But yeah, I don't know, I just loving all the, and like there's starting to be introduced this like, there's this kind of race called the like Oren Fae, who are like sort of like elves type thing, which I'm really liking all that stuff. It's just very like classic fantasy and just really comforting, but like, I don't know, just, yeah, I really love it. So would highly recommend. Okay, then we also have Arcane, which I gave 4.5 stars, and I really enjoyed this one as well. I don't think I was expecting to enjoy it quite as much as I did, but basically it reminded me of a YA version of Keeper of the Lost Cities, which is one of my favourite middle grade series. So basically the main character Alex, this one's called Alex, not Alec, goes through this portal. Well, she's basically been sent by her parents to like boarding school, but she really doesn't want to go. So when she gets there, she like accidentally goes through this door into this like magical world. And it's so funny, like as soon as she goes through this magical door, there's this like evil darkling type character, like super hot but super dark, who shows up, tells her they're going to change the world together, and then disappears. And then like 2 seconds later she instantly befriends this pair of himbos. And I just love that like thing was whole lot iconic, and as soon as that happened I was like, I'm gonna love this book. And then so yeah, she makes friends with these 2 characters called Bear and Jordan, who are the best pair of characters. They're like, so I already compared it to Keith of the Lost Cities, but Keith from that series, they're basically like Keith but 2 of him. And yeah, I really like them. And then the whole friendship they have with Alex is really sweet. I think that was my favourite thing in this book, like the friendships. And then they go, and then Alex enrolls in this like magical school called Arcane. So I actually really like this, like a magical school as well. And they just kind of have these adventures. This character, I can't remember, what was he even called? The Darkling type character. I can't even remember what he was called, to be honest. He shows up on occasion to cause problems. And it's just kind of Alex discovering her like new talents and powers, and there's various exploration, like there's this magical library that I like exploring that. I love the friendships. It's just really like fun series. I don't know, I just had a big smile on my face while I was reading it. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to reading the rest of the series. That's all I really have to say about it. Yeah, and then I also forgot to say, but I read another Night Runner book, which is the Look in the Shadow series. There's Glimpses, which is like a short story collection. There's about 4 short stories. And I saw somewhere that you should read it between books 2 and 3, so I did. And I really liked them. They were really cute little stories. They're a bit smutty, some of them. I feel like the author was just like, I'm gonna write some fan fiction of my own series, which is kind of what it was. It was really like self-indulgent and very like fluffy, but I really loved it. It was very entertaining. And I like seeing some of the moments. Like one of the stories we kind of see Sergei when he first comes to like be Lysander's apprentice, which I liked, and then we also see Alec when he was a little kid with his dad, which is really cute. So see like Sergei and Alex like just after they've started their relationship, which I really liked. So yeah, I really like that little collection of short stories. If you like the series, then I would recommend it, but it's just a short story collection, so there's not that much to say about it. It was cute. And then I also read, what else have I read? Oh, Azora Ghost, which is the second book, or the sequel to Norfolk Gloss, which is here. So this is a series which I actually really enjoy. I gave Azora Ghost 4 stars. And I think it's like, it's kind of like Becky Chambers, but darker. Especially the first one. I feel like the sequel was sort of it's starting to verge more into kind of space opera rather than speculative. Well, the first one is space opera-y, actually. And Caden, the main character, I thought he's grown a lot from book 1, and I liked his arc in this book, and I liked how kind of he's older and wiser and like knows a bit more what he actually wants. And book 2 is mainly like him and his like childhood friend called Lita, who Caden thought was dead for a long time, but turns out she's alive. So it's kind of them like getting to know, like, yeah, getting to know each other, but also they have now kind of conflicting loyalties and all that stuff going down. And then at the same time, Caden is kind of on the run from the Empire because he has this ship which is like really powerful and like an ancient artifact, but he doesn't want it to get into the Empire's hands, so he's kind of on the run. So yeah, it's very interesting. I like the characters. There's a kind of nice like fan family element to it in book 1, because Caden kind of joins this crew. And then I was a bit worried in book 2 that they wouldn't be there, because at the start of the book Caden's kind of on his own, but we do see them, which I really liked. And I like all the moments, like it's, like I said, it's darker than sort of Becky Chambers books, but there are some really like light moments and like just ones where they're like sitting around having a meal, and I don't know, I just really like those kind of moments of the story. There's like 2 sort of main villains of the book, which I think is really interesting actually. I like having 2, and like you don't know which one you're sort of, well, first of all, you don't know which one's worse, and also you don't know which kind of almost you're rooting for. I don't know, because like towards the end, one of the villain characters, I actually started to like him. Yeah, so I think if you like book 1, you'll really like book 2. I think, to be honest, if you didn't like, depending on what elements of book 1 you didn't like, you might also like book 2 more. I think especially Caden's character, because I think he's not the most likeable in book 1, but I think he gets a lot more likeable in book 2. It's like the whole kind of plot escalation and stuff. I feel like it's not quite like a 5-star read, because I don't like love the characters enough, but I do really like the characters. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I enjoyed reading it, so that's that one. And then finally we have the Christmas Proposal, which is a sapphic Christmas romance. It's very cheesy. It's like watching a Christmas film, basically. I was watching a few Christmas films. I watched The Princess Switch with Vanessa Hudgens, and I loved it. I don't know. I think it might have been a different video I've already been filming today, but I love a bit of cheese. And yeah, this one was really cheesy. But it was actually, I did enjoy it. Although I did have some like, there were some bits which I didn't love, but overall I had a very fun time reading. But so basically found Grace, who's like working for this company, and her girlfriend is also her boss. But then one day she discovers that this person called Christina, who is her girlfriend / boss, is cheating on her. So there's this big, like, they have a big breakup and she leaves the company. And then like 1 year later, Grace is working for this proposal planning company and kind of getting on well. She's like moved on. But then we're also following Bridget, who is the new assistant to Christina, who is the like boss ex-girlfriend of Grace. And Christina now wants to propose to this other character called Beryl, who she cheated on Grace with. It's all very confusing. And asked Bridget, who's her assistant, to plan this proposal. But Bridget like hates Christmas and doesn't know anything about marriage proposals. So she goes to this proposal company and gets Grace to organise the proposal, but Grace doesn't know who she's organising the proposal for, so it's all very entertaining. And this proposal, she wants it to take place in this place called Mistletoe Mountain, which is this like Christmassy village where Grace grew up. But it was so funny because before you go to this Mistletoe Mountain, in the book, I was like so scared of it. I was like, is this going to be some kind of crazy Christmas cult or something? Because the way it's like introduced and talked about is so like ominous and it's like this really like scary sort of location, but then you go there and it's just this like normal village. But anyway, and like Grace has a really good relationship with her family, but prior to actually getting there, you're like, well, what is going on? But yeah, so anyway, so Grace and Bridget go to this mountain and then they get kind of trapped there because there's an avalanche, so they can't get back to LA, which is where they're from. So then they spend their week in this like romantic little Christmas village, and then they grow closer, but there's these secrets because obviously Grace doesn't know that she's planning the proposal for her ex-girlfriend. It's all very like drama, and but it's quite sweet. There's some like personal growth for both of the main characters, because like Grace used to be like an ice skater, but she doesn't do it anymore because she had like a bad experience. And then also Bridget is kind of grown up in the foster care system, so she's a bit scared of like people are gonna abandon her. So yeah, it's just that kind of romancy. I don't know, I enjoyed it. I thought I think the things that annoyed me, first of all, the third act breakup, I always hate that. It's just so annoying, like why is it necessary? And also the smut, there was a very like, I feel like I wanted more, but also it was really like, I don't know, there was like one sort of touch and then they orgasm, and that's just so stupid. So I feel like that could have been better written, but like the romance elements I did like, and I like getting to know them, like getting to see them like getting to know each other. I thought it was really sweet. So yeah, it was like, it was what I was expecting. It was cheesy, it was Christmassy, it was sweet. So yeah, I mean, I wasn't expecting like anything world changing. So yeah, so I think that is my wrap up for December / the start of January. Who knows at this point. Let me know in the comments the book you read recently and whether you enjoyed it or whether you hated it or whether you thought it was okay. I'd really love to know, and if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and consider subscribing if you haven't already. And I hope you're all having a really great day, and I will see you next time.